Good morning, beloveds. Not entirely sure I'm awake. So, I woke up Friday exhausted. I woke up Saturday tired. I woke up Sunday feeling a lot more like myself. I'm kind of in the same position today where I feel better, but I'm like, okay. But we are closing in on the end of, I know we still have half the book to go, but we are closing in on the end of the text. After that, he goes into teachings, is what part 5 is, from the New Testament. And so he talks about, Bible. And then part 6 are meditations. So, which are really good, by the way. So I'm definitely going to do that. But, here we are. So we are in chapter 24. If you are in this book, well, even if you're not in this book, we're in chapter 24. But if you're in this book, we're on page 390. And this is the general summary. So let's see what Ernest is going to summarize. The mind of people is in some part the mind of God. Therefore, it contains within itself unlimited possibility of expansion and self-expression. The conscious mind of people is self-knowing, self-assertive. It has volition, will, choice, and may accept or reject. It is the only part of people's mind which can think independently of conditions. The subconscious mind of people is simply the law of mind in action. It is not a thing of itself, but it is the medium for all thought action. It is the medium by which people may call into temporary being whatever they need or enjoy on the pathway of their experience. The mind of God is infinite. The mind of people is some part of this infinite creative mind of God. Therefore, the mind of people is as infinite as is people's capacity to understand their true relationship to God or spirit. The mind of people is continuously unfolding into a greater recognition of its real plan in the creative order of the universe. It does not yet comprehend its own power or scope, but it does know how, in some measure, to consciously cooperate with the infinite. Spirit is really the only mind there is. It is eternal. It never began, nor will it ever cease to be. It is complete and perfect, happy and whole, satisfied, and at peace with itself. The spirit is the only conscious intelligence in the universe. Therefore, it is the only directive intelligence in the universe. Because the mind of people is the mind of God in people, the mind of people is conscious and directive. It is to people what God is to the universe. God is spirit, that is, without parts, a universal unity and wholeness. God is mind. The self-knowing mind of God is the spirit of God, and at the same time, the spirit of people. Mind, in its self-knowing state, is spirit. The mind of God and the mind of people is the same mind. The conscious mind of people is part of the self-knowingness of the mind of God. The conscious mind of people is the self-knowingness of spirit operating through the thought of people, hence its creativeness. The conscious mind of people is that part of or unity with the Supreme Spirit, which enables people to be an individual unit, separate in identity, without becoming separated from the whole Spirit of God, the whole mind of God. Without this conscious mind of people in an individualized state, God, or, hang on. Let's try this again. punctuation is getting me. Without this conscious mind of people in an individualized state, God, or of spirit, God or the spirit would have no independent offspring. Therefore, God would not be completely expressed. That's one of those, wait, what are you talking about, Ernest? Ugh. Okay. The eternal has placed itself at the center of people's being in order that people may function individually. The discovery of this, the greatest truth about people, is the greatest discovery of all the ages. Sometimes I think that the punctuation got a little weird in that paragraph, which is why it didn't make sense in the reading. But it's also that situation of what he's trying to say is, look, the truth is that we have the mind of God within us. If the mind of God, if God was not at the center of our being, we couldn't unfold. We couldn't expand. We couldn't express. So it's extremely important to understand the reason why God is at the center of you, the Spirit is at the center of you, is for the purpose of that unfolding, that self-expression, that expansion. But he said it weird. So, here we are. All right. Now, always remember when I say things like that, this is my opinion. It is a well-educated opinion, but it is still my opinion. You are allowed to disagree with me. Or maybe you agree with me, but don't think I went far enough. That's okay too. So that is the reason why Science of Mind is open at the top, so that we can have these discussions. All right, I am back to the reading now. It is this divine self-knowingness in people which distinguishes them from all other creation. It belongs to people alone. It appears full-orbed in people alone. People alone are able to consciously work out their own destiny, to determine what manner of life they shall lead. For it is written that God created them but little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. Now, right there, I disagree with that. I think that when you go back and you look at the intelligence of like dolphins, they just have had the sense not to create the nonsense called civilization that we have, which I think makes them a little smarter than us. But, there's that. So, yeah. The subjective mind of people is part of the universal subjective mind of God. It is the place where every person individualizes themselves on the subjective side of life. It is their use of the law of cause and effect. It is their use of the law of karma. It is the law of the whole, now individualized as the law of the apparent part. It may produce either freedom or bondage according to the way that it is used. People's use of the universal law makes it appear as though their subjective mind were an entity of itself. It never is, however, and this is one of the main points we should remember. It is not separated from the universal, but it is, in a certain sense, the property of the individual in the universal. God and people are one, but God is greater than people. The whole is greater than its parts. It's not math. It is not math. All right, back to the reading. The universal subjective mind is in an abstract and formless state. That is, it is a potential energy and a latent power, which means that it is unformed, but always ready to take form. It is mind and substance in an unformed or uncreated state of being. It is ready to become molded into any and all forms. It is unexpressed power, substance, and creativeness. It is unexpressed mind. It waits to be called into form or expansion. It exists in its original state, invisible but potential, with all possible form. A creative universal energy waiting to be used, to be operated upon. Willing but having no volition of its own. Ready but having no initiative. Formless but ready to take form. Mind, in its subjective state, is universal. Mind, in its subjective state, cannot act until it is set in motion by mind in a conscious state. Therefore, universal subjective mind is a doer and not a self-conscious knower. It knows how to do, but it does not have any conscious knowledge that it is doing. People call it forth into expression. And that's an extremely important point because it means it doesn't judge. Now, why is that important? Because whatever we set it in motion to do, it's going to do. It never looks at it and goes, you don't really want that. Or, hey, this would be really good for you. Let's do it this way. It doesn't do that. It just does what you ask it to do. And that's extremely important information to have. This is just a bunch of little paragraphs. So I'm going to read a couple more and then, pause. The universal mind, in universal mind is contained the essence of everything that ever was, is, or shall be. The seen and the unseen are in it and governed by it. It is the sole and only creative agency in the universe, and all other apparent creative agencies are it working in different ways. Things exist in the universal mind as ideas. Ideas take form and become things in the concrete or the visible world. Thought calls things forth from the universal into expression. Whew. Okay. The correct understanding that mind in its unformed state can be called forth into individual use is the key to all proper mental and spiritual work from a practical viewpoint. To know that we are surrounded by such a creativeness is not enough, however. We must use this knowledge for deliberate purposes if we expect to make conscious use of the law for personal self-expression. In this limitless medium, the potential of all our desires exists in an unformed state. The unformed is ready to take form, but having no intention of its own because it is not self-knowing, form must be imposed upon it. Form is imposed upon it by the self-knowing mind of God and of people. People in the little world, God in the great world. So part of that is important. It says that we must use this knowledge for definite purposes. Every thought has the potential to be creative, but not every thought is creative. Okay? And so that's one of those things. Definite purpose. Every thought has the potential to be creative, but not every thought is creative. Trust me, that's important because sometimes you have those thoughts and you're like, whoa, no. Okay? That's okay. It wasn't, we weren't that, what is the word I want to use here? We didn't have enough feeling wrapped around it to bring it into expression. So that's why that's important to know. Definite purpose. Okay. 2 more paragraphs and then I'm going to wrap it up for the day. The invisible essence of mind is substance. That is an unformed stuff and energy. It is energy plus intelligence. Intelligence is conscious energy working upon unformed substance in accord with law. When people make a demand upon themselves or upon the universe, which flows through the self, they are making a demand upon original mind and original energy. Thus, Their demand causes original mind and energy to produce specific things for them. Thus, a new creation produced by the same creative force or energy that produces all things. Thus, a new creation is creation. Sometimes his words. Okay. The mind that people use to conceive new ideas is the original mind of God. There are not two minds, but one. The universal and the individual are one in essence. Any apparent difference is in degree only. Okay. Last paragraph, and then I'm giving it up for the day. No form is permanent. All forms return to the formless. The formless is eternal. All form is temporary. There is an eternal play of life upon itself. This is necessary in order that the mind may be expressed. People are an expression of the original mind, and they can call temporary forms into being if they will to. Indeed, they cannot stop doing this, and thereby hangs the tale of good and evil. And that's a heck of a sentence to end on, right? But I'm going to. What that means is I'm going to pick up the general summary tomorrow with the first full paragraph on 394. Because, I mean, he's trying to summarize what he has just spent almost 400 pages telling us. Frankly, yeah, I think he's doing a pretty good job. But we'll see. We'll see how good of a job I do dealing with it. But yeah, that's where we are. General summary. And then we get into teachings and meditations. And I don't know that I'm going to read the glossary to you, but I might. You know what? It might be interesting to see the way he does the definition, how he defines some of his terms. So I'll make that determination when I get there. But for right now, what I am going to do is the little housekeeping that I always do. I'm going to remind you that an easy way to support the center is to engage with our social media, which is Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the running Rev Ryan on the social medias, and what we encourage you to do is to go like and subscribe and follow and share and comment. It helps us out. We appreciate it when you do that. So it bumps us in the algorithms, and we try and share uplifting and light and helpful stuff. The other thing is, if you want more information about the center, you can go to info@creativelife.org. That's the email, which is a constant contact. You get about one email a week, unless something unusual happens. And the hot links are hot. Or creativelife.org is the website. Now, I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day. Let's get this party started day. It's Monday. You got to start off on the right foot, right? Day. A productive day, a get stuff done day, a take care of whatever it is day, a finish up whatever you had left from last week day, go dance in the rain day if you get any of the week of rain we're supposed to have day. Enjoy the cooler weather day, because July started off really hot here. A good day, and if that is too much pressure, simply have a day. You are enough, just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are a brilliant light, a divine spark. You are spirit in motion. You are God in action. You, or as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right. Explore the truth of your being. Forget everything that everybody has ever told you, whether they know you or not, about yourself, and get to know who the divine knows you to be. Because the one promise I can make you, it's the only promise I can make you, the person that the divine knows you to be is good. And from there, anything is possible. All right, beloveds. I'm going to wrap this up and remind you, Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9 a.m. tomorrow. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved. And I will see you next time.